how much funding should non-government schools receive from the Commonwealth? So just for context here, there's a number of private schools, a significant percentage of them are religiously affiliated or even religiously run, in fact. And funnily enough, a lot of them receive significant contributions from the federal government, despite charging exorbitant fees from their students. So I went to a government school all through primary and high school, and I didn't have to pay a cent out of my pocket till I was in year 12. Till I went to university, I didn't have to pay anything. But if I went to a private school, I would have had to pay around $20,000 or $30,000 a year on average for my high school learning. But we find time and time again that private schools get more funding in some cases than public schools. So it's been a bit of a contentious issue. And the Christian lobby groups obviously push for this because a lot of the schools, private schools, are Christian schools in Australia.
What's like the percentage of kids who go to private school and not a public school? Are there like a lot of kids?
It's a minority, I would say. I can quickly check.
And moreover, it's not like at least across the board. Say for example, it's not like schooling for higher grades. It's better in private school versus public school. The situation is not like that, right? I believe. I mean,
it's not, but yeah, there's more resources in a private school. The teacher to student ratio is higher. So I just looked at the stats. It's about 30 to 40% of students go to public or independent or non-government schools. So yeah, the facilities are better. There's also a stronger sports programs and resources, etc. But the cost is quite exorbitant compared to public schools, obviously.
And 30 to 40% of students study in private school. Is that right?
That's right. That's correct. Yeah.
Arjun, what I would say is private schools are a business model for the owners, okay? And they might be into education, I understand that, but that funding should be going more into government schools. As I said, the student and kid ratio is somewhat not so good in government sector. So the funding should go into the government sector rather than funding this to non-government schools. As you correctly said, I have not found a school here which is not linked with any religion. And that reminds me of Richard Dawkins' documentary that he did about faith school menace. I don't know if you remember it now. So the indoctrination that goes to the kids in the school that clashes with the actual science, what will be used in their life. So
that's right.
If there are any other private school that does not associate with religion, I don't think there are many actually. So I would say that the funding should go into the government-run sectors rather than non-government private school who are open purely for the business to make money and profits.
Yeah.
For the government, it's a
in Sydney. Yeah, I agree. In Sydney, there's only 4 or 5 non-religious private schools, and it's a pretty big city. It's a very, very small number. And yeah, you're right. Pretty much every school is associated with a church. So yeah, I would agree with that. Babu Gogineni, yourself?
No funds to religious establishments, but independent educational foundations, not created as decoy vehicles for religious groups. But educational foundations doing that. I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
We also know about some Hindu groups getting funds, don't we?
That's right, we do. Yes, there is a Vedic school on the way to join a number of Islamic schools that have been established in the last 10 to 15 years. They've followed the same kind of blueprint.
So it's spreading.
It's
spreading.
It is, yeah.
And one satanic cult applied and that was denied.
That's right. Yes, it was denied. So I think given that 95% of all independent school, actually more than 95% are religiously inclined, I would say much less funding should go to them.
Agreed.
We comfortable with that one? Yeah. Foreign companies should be prohibited from leasing Australian ports.